Y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Y'all, your timing is perfect. Look, we got an Amazon, but I tell you what, y'all go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so that you don't miss any of the shenanigans. I'll get set up for a proper unboxing and I'll meet you right back here. Y'all, I'm so excited. Let's bust into this thing. We got the new Kindle Paperwhite and a little case to go with it. So here's what I'd like to do. Let's just unbox the Kindle, look at it, see what's in the box, and then I'll take a break, get it set up, get it in the case, get it all pretty, and then we'll take some time and go through, talk about the specs, and walk through how to actually set up a Kindle. Because I'm not sure everybody knows how to, I know a lot of people know how to do that, but I'm not sure everybody knows how to do that, and I'm really not sure that everybody knows all of the options that come on the Kindle. So let's get into this thing. Let me show y'all what I got. Y'all, I got the new Kindle Paperwhite in sage green. I am so excited. Look how pretty it is. So I'm gonna power it on. I'm gonna set that aside while that does that, and we'll just go through the gewgaws that come with it. So here's the little package. And of course, it comes with the quick start guide, charging cable, and this is USB-C. And y'all, that's pretty much all that's in the box. For cases, especially for this Kindle, I opt for a minimalist, and I went for completely clear because the Kindle's green. And I don't want to obscure that at all. So there's that. But it's got bumpers, and it's kind of ridged, so it gives you a little something to hold on to. I really like that. I have this case on a few different devices, and I really like it. So it's powered up. Now we just go through the basics, pick our language, tell it next, select our region. I am United States English, tell it next. And then so y'all, I'm seriously gonna just leave it be for now. Let it do what it needs to do. I'm gonna charge it and then I'll be back and we'll go through step by step. And y'all, this is probably gonna be a little bit of a long video, so I'll be really specific about my chapters so that you can jump through and just find the information that you need, all right? So sit tight and I'll be back. All right, y'all, my Kindle is charged. I got a case on it. I got it all decorated. Got a pop socket, so I am ready to go through the setup. There are lots of things that you can do to personalize your Kindle. You can get way deep in the weeds on this, but y'all, I just want to start with the basic setup. Go through some sort of general things that you can do to personalize your Kindle and organize what you have on it to make it comfortable and easy for you to use. Maybe in some future videos, we'll go sort of deeper in the weeds on this, but for now, I just want to get us started, get it set up, and get through those first few layers of customization. So first thing we need to do is the basic setup. So we need to tell it our language and then pick our region, which I am telling it US English. And from here, it's going to ask me if I want to set up on this Kindle or set up using my phone. Normally, I would set up using my phone. When you do it that way, you simply go into the Kindle app on your phone, go to Settings, and make sure that Amazon Device Simple Setup is turned on. Then you click Set Up with your phone and follow directions from there. But I'm going to set up on this Kindle just so that we can go through the steps together. Now from here, I'm going to get logged into my network and then register my Kindle, which simply means signing in to my Amazon account. So now I'm signed in. I hit Next. I do not want to make this kid friendly, but I like that that's an option. So let's go through some basics of Kindle operation, so to speak. You have two options for what you see when you first come onto your Kindle. You have the home screen, which is a hybrid of your content and content that's recommended for you. And there's a lot of stuff on here. The other option is your library screen. And this is strictly your content. This is strictly things that you bought. And you can see that because I just registered this Kindle, it doesn't have my books loaded yet, but it's working on it. I prefer the library screen to the home screen because to me the home screen just has too much stuff going on. So I'm going to open a book. Now you can see here are all of my books. And these are just my books. Now you'll see down here at the bottom, there's home, library, and now there's a book in the middle. That's the book that I just opened. That book in the middle is going to be the last book that you read, and it's sort of a shortcut back to the book that you most recently opened on the Kindle. So that's just a nice little quickie way to get there. You can also just touch the book, but I like that little quickie shortcut to get there. In the library tab, you can see I have just a bunch of stuff going on. Y'all, let's not talk about me being a Kindle book hoarder. But the Kindle allows you to filter these and to sort of arrange how you want your library screen to appear when you open it. So let's talk about these filters. So up here on the left-hand side, you see these little like lines with dots on it. Those are your filters. And you can filter by books that you've downloaded, so what you have downloaded onto this device. And then within there, you can filter by unread and read. You can filter by the type of content that you want. You can have books, samples, newsstand stuff, Audible stuff. All of that you can have on your Kindle, or you can pick through it and pick just what you want to see. I have Kindle Unlimited and library loans that I also have access to. If you're a Prime member, you can also borrow books through Amazon Prime. We'll talk about that another day. But that would show up here. But for me, books that I borrow from Amazon Prime are always Kindle Unlimited books, so those would be under my Kindle Unlimited. So you can filter by that, or you can filter out your Kindle Unlimited books if you just don't want to see all of that mess in your library. Another way that you can personalize your library screen is by the Sort and View menu. You can sort your content by most recent, by title and author, or by publication date. You can do ascending or descending. And you can manage, if you like pictures of the book covers like I do, you can have it on grid view, or if you like a cleaner appearance, you can do a list view where it all shows up in a list and you still have the book cover, but it's just a little teeny tiny book cover. I'm going to go back to my grid view because I like the big pictures. You can also do collections, and you can sort your view by collections, but you can see I have a couple of collections, and then my uncollected items are 513, so that view doesn't really make sense for me. So I'm going to go back to my grid view. So y'all, those are some options that you have for setting up what you see when you first come into your Kindle. Now, when you leave and come back, the Kindle will remember that you were on library and not home, and it'll take you back to your library screen when you open the Kindle again next time. All right, enough of that. Let's get into actually reading a book on the Kindle. How do you read a book? Well, first thing you do is you just open a book. And then to turn pages, you simply swipe from right to left to advance, and left to right to go back. You can adjust your settings from inside the book view, and to do that, you just tap the top of the screen and that gives you your settings menu. And let's go through these quickly. The first thing you see on the settings menu is the library with an arrow. That takes you back to your library screen. The next thing you'll notice is this double A. And y'all, that's where we really get into customizing your books. First, there are themes. There are themes that come with the Kindle. There's a standard theme. There's large, if you prefer large print that's sort of wide set, or compact if you like really small print. Or once you get your settings the way you want them, you can save custom settings. You can save your own theme. So then whenever you open a book, you can just go to that theme. So that's under themes. Under fonts, you can set your font. And the Kindle actually has quite a few different fonts to choose from. I'm a Bookerly girl. That's the default font, sort of the native font for the Amazon Kindle. So when you get a book, that's the font that it's in. But if you haven't done so, go in and mess around with the fonts and find the one that you like. You can also set it so that it's bolder. And I find this to be helpful with highlighting. When I highlight a lot, I find it nice to have a bolder font so that when I highlight, the font still pops through the highlighting. And size, you can also change the size of your text. Layout is where you can change sort of your margin size, your spacing. So if you want really wide margins or narrow margins, wide spacing, y'all, just the look of that makes me twitch. You can change your alignment. So if you want it left aligned or not. And here's where you can change your orientation. So if you want landscape instead of portrait, you can do that in here. Now the more is where you really kind of start getting into real customization. Reading progress, you can pick how you want your reading progress to show up. But y'all, this is a little redundant because you can just go down to the bottom left-hand corner and touch, I don't know if you can see it, but it'll tell you your location number or your page number or how much time you have left to read in the chapter. You can do that from here, or you can do it from inside of the More menu under Reading Progress. You can also have a clock on while you're reading or not. Sometimes it's helpful to have that on so that you don't get sucked into reading and miss an appointment or something. Book mentions. So if an author mentions another book within the book that you're reading, book mentions will allow you to click on that and go to that book in the Amazon store. I don't think I've ever seen that happen, but I'm excited for it to happen for me, so I leave my book mentions on. About this book, so when you open up a new book, it'll go to an About page at the beginning. And if you don't have your About on, or your About, as our friendly neighbors to the north say, it won't do that. So I just leave that on. I don't know that I actually read the About, but I leave it on anyway. Popular highlights. We'll talk about highlighting in a book while you're reading on the Kindle, but you can also have popular highlights turned on. So passages that other people have highlighted in the book that you're reading will show up while you're reading. So you can touch on it and see what other people have highlighted. When you highlight, there's a menu that comes up. Hang on, I'll show you. So you make a highlight and then a menu comes up. You can turn that off. I leave it on because I like to add notes to my highlights. So I leave that on. But highlight, that's highlight menu right there. Page turn automations, y'all, why would you not? So not all Kindles have this, but look. It looks like you're turning a page when you turn a page. I know, it's super goofy. I love it. So page turn automations, I leave on. Word-wise, I feel like this is really good if you're reading in a language that's not your native language, or if you're reading a book with really challenging words in it. Word-wise will give you hints at the meaning of words and help you understand the meaning of words beyond just the textbook definition. I don't use it because it kind of bugs me. Pinyin is for Chinese characters. If you're reading something in Chinese characters, Pinyin is essentially the transliteration. So if you're reading in Chinese, it'll help you sound out what the Chinese characters sound like. And that's an option. I don't tend to read in Chinese, so I don't have that on. So that's it for the fonts settings tab. The next tab is chapters. So this will allow you to navigate through your book, just through the chapters. And it'll show you, if you highlight, which clearly I highlight, it'll show you your notes and highlights that you've made in that book. One nice little thing about the notes and highlights section is that you can export your notes. So if you make notes in a book and you want to export them, you can export them and email them to yourself or to someone else to share. These are bookmarks. So you can bookmark a page just by touching the upper right-hand corner, and then you hit a plus, and that puts a bookmark there. And then you can see your list of bookmarks under the bookmark tab. Finally, there's a search tab, which there's not a whole lot to say about that. It allows you to search within the book and within your notes. There's a bunch of more stuff inside these 3 dots. Can y'all see that? This will take you back to the About This Book that we talked about. One interesting thing in the About This Book that we didn't talk about is Goodreads. If you have Goodreads, you can go directly to Goodreads and mark the book as currently reading in your Goodreads. The notes and highlights, like we mentioned, that's just sort of another way to get to notes and highlights. X-ray shows you in-depth information about the book that you're reading. So you can go in and look at like notable clips or sections of the book that other people have found interesting. I like this. If you're reading a book and you're like, wait, who is that guy? You can go to X-ray, go under people, and it tells you about the person, reminds you who they are. Interesting terms or like important terms from within the book. It explains the terms in the context of the book, which I think is interesting. And then images is just images from the book. So I really like the X-ray section. I think it's really useful. The vocabulary builder compiles all of the words that you look up while you're reading the book. So I think that's a really helpful way to go back and like look up words that you understood in context, but then later you want to go back and look at them again and make sure you understand them. The vocabulary builder is a great way to do that. There's lots of stuff to talk about in settings, so let's get through this and then we'll go back and talk about settings. Sync to furthest page read. Sometimes if you read across devices or if you have the same book on Audible and Kindle, it won't necessarily stay synced. So sync to furthest read page will force sync if when you open your device, your pages aren't synced. Disable touchscreen. Y'all don't mess with that unless you're on a device that has physical buttons and you want to disable the touch screen on that device so that you can touch the screen and not turn pages and just turn pages with the buttons, then mess with that. Otherwise, you're going to disable your Kindle. I'm not saying I've ever done that. I'm just saying don't do that. All right, let's get into settings and talk about what's in here. First of all, we got some more dots. So the 3 dots up here in the upper right-hand corner give us restart, which allows you to restart your Kindle, reset, which will reset it to factory settings, device info, which will give you information about your device. So if you're looking for like the device version or your serial number, that's all in there. You can see right here, it's kind of grayed out, but it says update your Kindle. That will usually be grayed out because typically your Kindle is going to update itself. But if there's an update that you need to get, that's going to be there. So that's your dots. Now let's get into what's in each of these. Device name, you can change the name of your Kindle so that when it shows up, like in your Amazon account or something, you can call it something recognizable in case you have more than 1 or 2 or 5 Kindles and you want to be able to recognize them, you can change the name there. And then you can add some personal information to identify your Kindle. Social networks, y'all, you can link your Kindle to your Goodreads. I think that's the only social network that's available. Deregister your device, so that takes it off of your Amazon account. We just put it on my account, so we're going to leave that alone. Ads. So when I bought this Kindle, it had ads on it, which it still does. So if I want to, I can go in and I have personalized ads on. I can turn that off so that I don't get ads personalized for me. I don't know if I want that on or not. So you can turn off personalized ads, and like if a kid has access to the Kindle, you can filter ads so that ads that aren't suitable for all audiences won't show up. So maybe books with questionable themes won't be on your Kindle. That's all I can think about that would be on there. Your send to Kindle email. Y'all, this is another one. It's just going to come up with some generic, like if you have 4 Kindles, it's going to be like Bob's 4th Kindle at kindle.com. You can change that to a more specific email address for the Kindle so that you recognize it when you're trying to email things to your Kindle. So that's that send to Kindle email. But this is where you find, if you need to send something to your Kindle, this is where you find your send to Kindle email address. So household and family library, if you're sharing content, that'll show up here. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth settings are in there. You can listen to Audible books through your Kindle. When you do that, you're going to have to hook up to some kind of speaker. So Bluetooth is good for that. Device options. There's lots of good information in here, y'all. I don't have this set, but you can set what they call a warmth schedule. So if in the evening you sit around and read on your Kindle and you want the lighting on your Kindle to become warmer as the evening progresses, you can set that on here. You can set a passcode on your Kindle, like if other people have access to your Kindle, or if you're concerned somebody else might gain access to your Kindle, you can set a passcode. And then just the basics, time, you can restart and reset your Kindle in here. Reading options. Page refresh. So my understanding of page refresh is sometimes as you're turning pages, there will be sort of like a shadow from the previous page on the next page. I don't know that I've ever seen that, but if you're concerned about that, you can turn on page refresh. Y'all, if you've ever, let me know if you've ever seen that. Vocabulary builder, we talked about. Languages and dictionaries. The Kindle gives you lots of options for different languages and dictionaries, so that's all in there. Accessibility is interesting. For people who are visually impaired, there are some accessibility options on the Kindle. It will offer spoken feedback for items that you touch, and there are different settings in there for that. And it also offers inverted black and white, which is really like dark mode. We'll talk about dark mode. Parent controls, if you have kiddos. You have Amazon Kids access in here, so that's the paid subscription for the kids content. Then you can set restrictions in here. And finally, help and users guide. Y'all, this, inside here, there's contact us, and this is the only way that I know of to specifically contact the Kindle team. So if you have feedback or suggestions of things that you would like to see, this is the place to send them. One more thing we need to talk about before we leave settings actually is inside device options. If you swipe up, see, we're still inside device options. We swiped up and now we're at advanced options. And inside of advanced options, we have home and library settings. We have update your Kindle, which we talked about that already. WhisperSync for Books. WhisperSync is what the Kindle uses to keep your books synced across all devices. So across different Kindles that you're using, if you're reading on the Kindle app on a phone, if you're listening on Audible, it syncs all of that through WhisperSync. Now, let me say this. If you're concerned about tracking, about Amazon being able to track you, about them being able to see all of your clicks and all of that, then maybe think about whether or not you want WhisperSync turned on. But if you're not concerned about that and you want all of your highlights, all of your notes, and all of your reading progress synced across all of your devices, then you need to have WhisperSync on. Power save puts the Kindle in low power mode when you're not using it. I think it takes longer for it to wake up when you turn it back on, but I'm okay with that. So it's just a trade-off, I guess, if you want to take a few seconds longer to open your books or if you want to have to charge more often. There are privacy settings that you can disable if you don't want Amazon collecting information on you through your Kindle, and then here it gives you your storage data, your storage information. I don't know anybody that's ever had to worry about storage space on a Kindle, but that's just me. So those are our advanced options. So now let's get out of settings. There are just a couple of other things that I wanted to mention. We talked about highlighting. So to highlight on a Kindle, all that you have to do is put your finger down and drag it. And then if you want to add a note, you just touch note and type the note that you want to add, hit save. And then you can see there's that little bitty number 1 that tells you that there's a note on that highlight. And now, when I go to notes and highlights, there it is. And again, you can export your notes. So if you think you're going to want to export your notes, be sort of cognizant of that as you're making notes. You can look up words. Oh, look, here's a good word to look up. Obfuscate. All I did was held my finger on it, and it came up with the dictionary definition of obfuscate. It's a great word. If I swipe, I get Wikipedia, and then a translation of obfuscate from English to English, but you can set this to translate from and to different languages. There are also quick actions, so if you swipe down from the top, here are some options of quick actions that you can perform. You can go into dark mode. We mentioned dark mode. And that's really just sort of inverting. Instead of black letters on a white background, it's white letters on a black background. You can put the Kindle into airplane mode, which, y'all, if you have an older Kindle, it's not a bad idea to keep it in airplane mode to save your battery, but otherwise, I just don't mess with airplane mode. You can turn your Bluetooth off and on here. Here's another force sync. That's the same thing as sync across all devices or sync to last page read. And then this takes you to settings. Y'all, we are not going back into settings. We've spent long enough there. And then this also allows you to adjust your brightness and your warmth. So you can see there, I just jacked the warmth way. Can y'all see that? I just jacked the warmth way up. Just a couple of other quick notes, y'all. The button at the bottom, we didn't even talk about, this is power. So you press it to turn it on, press and hold to, well, let's look. If you press and hold, you get a cancel, restart, and screen off option. So if instead of having your Kindle just go to sleep, you want the screen off, you just mash screen off. And then to turn it back on, you just hit that button again. To put it to sleep, you just hit the button and it goes to sleep. And for me, it takes me to this screen with ads. If you have it where the ads are off, then it'll take you to a screensaver, or within your options, it would give you the option to set it to a book cover instead of going to that splash screen. So when I go back in, I'm back at my library and you see there's a search bar here. This is sort of a general search. It'll search my Kindle and the Kindle store. Then there's this little shopping cart here that searches the Kindle store. Beside that, there are another three dots. And you can go into your Goodreads from here. You can go to Amazon Kids. There's a completely useless web browser. You can get into settings from here. Or you can create a collection, which is sometimes fun to put together. Like if you're reading books for a book list or something, it's fun to make a collection there. And y'all, I think that's about it for this Kindle Paperwhite tutorial. As I mentioned, there's a lot more to talk about in the Paperwhite, but Rome wasn't built in a day, so I'll be back on another video and we can get further into the weeds. But for now, thank you so much for coming to my channel. If you made it this far, we're definitely friends. So go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the shenanigans. I upload food and fitness videos on Mondays with some book videos sprinkled in between. See you on the next one.